Welcome to the Building Texas Show. We're coming to you today from the Permian Basin, the University of Texas, Permian Basin to be specific, and we're right in between Midland-Odessa and at the Center for Engineering and Economic Development at the UTPB campus.
Correct.
I'm excited to be talking to Tom Manskey from the Odessa Economic Development Corporation and really talking about the tie-ins of education into economic development, but then the world is changing fast and the Midland-Odessa region in general is seeing a lot of attention.
Correct. It's been incredible. The last several months have been the busiest I've seen in my economic development career.
What does busy in an economic development career mean? Is that site selectors coming and reviewing? Is it people coming and saying we're expanding?
I'll give you an example. We typically might have 4 site visits a year where a big project actually comes to town, and that could be 2 to 4. Locally we have a lot of things happen on a smaller scale, but at a much, and when I say larger, I'm talking projects of $500 million and above.
Yeah.
We've got currently a couple of projects that have a B after them. We've had 5 site visits in 2025 so far. We've got another one next week, which will be 6, and we're not through with April yet. So there's a lot of attention. And you had asked me earlier, is it because we're Texas? Is it the economy? Is it what's going on in the world? And I'll tell you, it's all of the above, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Texas is a big factor. I mean, that was probably the first factor, but then all of a sudden there's layers adding to it. And I think sometimes we forget about the Texas miracle and how great it is to work in this state. And for businesses, manufacturers, business owners, we stay out of a lot of your business, whereas a lot of states don't do that.
Well, and as a Texan, I think of Midland-Odessa and it's oil and gas. What projects would be coming out here? I think it's our branded oil and gas companies growing.
Well, there's some that we're talking to a large manufacturer.
Okay.
That would be a supplier to oil and gas.
Okay.
But would also supply a lot of other industries also. This one is a project, $4 billion. We're talking another project, $13.9 billion. These are enormous size projects that require a lot of attention. On the economic development practitioner side, the one thing that gets you is, each one of these projects, they think they're your only project.
They're the only one.
And I'll get a call like, well, have you done this? And it's like, okay, I was finishing up this other one because I've got, right now in our pipeline, we've got about $23 billion in projects.
Yeah.
We won't land them all, you never do. But I feel really good about a lot of that capital investment. There's a lot of things in addition to being Texas. Our electric grid is not as bad as it's been beat up about. There's been some work to improve it, get it in better shape.
Yep.
But we do have energy out here. Obviously, we're the energy capital of America, if not North America. We've got a lot going for us on that. We also have, for some of these really big projects with a B behind them, we've got a lot of wide open space.
Yeah. I think about that. When we talk about growth in Texas, a lot of people will think of the traditional Texas Triangle, and it's being flexed on water, traffic, roads. You have all of those concerns out here, but you have the space to really spread it out and find solutions. The highway system through here connects the country. You have 2 large cities, and I think I heard the stat earlier, within 45 minutes of here, there's 500,000 people living in the Midland-Odessa region, and that's expected to really grow. And
Dr. Ray Perman, I'm sure you've heard of him, he estimated by 2050, this region is going to create 191,000 new jobs.
That's incredible.
That is just shy of a Lubbock. And so those are new people coming into the community, mouths to feed, housing, transportation, infrastructure, all of the above.
Well, I was really impressed as we toured this facility. We were talking, there's a group here doing Texas water innovation. There's a group here that's doing 3D printing in the maker space. There's a co-working facility. So I really applaud University of Texas Permian Basin for making those facilities available to the public, because I believe that there's walls and cranes, there's the big projects that come in, but with that many people, you're also growing your own.
Yeah.
And you get the service workforce, you get the manufacturing workforce, and then there's a creative workforce that goes out and makes things.
Yeah.
And you've got the ingredients for all of that to come together in a really special way out here.
Well, you know, there's a lot more out here than people realize. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not from the area. I've been out here, you know, almost 3.5 years. You've got higher education, which it's not just UTPB, although a great institution.
Right.
You've got Texas Tech Health Science Center. At the community/junior college level, you have Odessa College and Midland College.
Yep.
And in all of these schools, I've worked in several different communities in my economic development career. The flexibility of these institutions to work with the local employers is the best I've ever seen. Especially, well, UTPB, but also Midland College and Odessa College. I mean, they're outstanding institutions, and we're very fortunate to have all of them. And like with Texas Tech Health Science Center, people don't realize we're training nurses out here.
Yep.
They have, I think they enroll 36 new residents each year, and they're training in our hospitals. Many of them wind up staying out here. And so, you know, you can even go down to the resale side of things. Right now, under construction, on the same highway, one in Odessa, one in Midland, Bass Pro Shops is building a big store in Odessa, and 5 miles down the road in Midland, Costco's building their largest Texas store.
That's awesome.
There's a new zoo being built out here. I'm told it's the first full zoo constructed in Texas in over 30 years.
Yep.
And so there's a ton of things going on people don't realize. And once you get out here and start seeing it, it's like, hey, you know.
It is a great city center, or two great city centers out here that have a workforce, are creating talent, and we have to have a place to put them. And I'm thrilled to hear you say that kind of economic diversity is out here and coming, because it is the challenge. And we saw it in Garland when we were there a month ago with Y Texas, talking to Dallas College. Huge opportunities. And the employers locally don't always know about the community college structure and how they can collaborate. So I'm thrilled to hear you say, well, this is a great example of those employers working with a community college, because I think that's a missed asset in many communities.
Yeah. We were doing a business retention and expansion visit with one of our employers, and we're sitting there talking to him, and we said, what gives you headaches at night?
Yeah.
And he said, well, we've got some training issues. And I said, well, share. And you know, they knew about Odessa College. They were over in Odessa. He said, we get wrapped up in what we do every day, and we don't know where to start, where to make that phone call. And so I was there with a team member of mine, and we said, well, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And so we went back, we reached out to the college and said, you need to contact this person. And you know, a lot of them, you know, whether it's this happened to be a cement manufacturer, large one off Interstate 20, you know, they're manufacturing cement every day.
Yep.
24/7, so they don't think about, well, where do I start at Odessa College? This gentleman actually transferred in to run the facility from another country, so he didn't really have a relationship with Odessa College. So we try to do as much of that to help them as we can. Odessa College has outreach, Midland College has outreach. It's very important. Matter of fact, both schools right now are doing bond. They're campaigning for a big bond issue coming up in May.
Well, I just appreciate that that's the resource you can be for our employers, and it's a call to all employers to get to know your economic developer locally who can connect you to those resources. And it might be a community college, it might be a trade school, but those are also your future employers,
or
employees. When you can go to Odessa College and find people that are motivated, disciplined, going through a program, It's not a 4-year program, it might be a 6-week certification, but they're more hireable then than they were when they started.
Well, I'll give you an incredible example. I was at the Ector County State of the School District.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, I guess it was, or last week. It all runs together at my age. But they ran a film, and it was a young man who graduated, I guess, in the last year or two. And he was getting dual credit in welding from the school district and from Odessa College. And so when he graduated, when he was handed his high school diploma, he had a job waiting on him that they didn't say the exact amount, but it was 6 figures.
Yeah, as a welder, a trained, certified welder.
And I can tell you, when I graduated college, my first job, of course, this will also kind of date me,
Yeah.
but $19,000 a year.
Oh.
And that was after, I don't know, 7, 8 years of college, a little over 4 years of college. But, it's a lot different now, and you're seeing statistics show, especially what they're showing is a lot more females are going on and getting into bachelor's. A lot more males are just going straight into technical. Technical, you can start right out of the bat with a higher wage. Now, on average, bachelor eventually may pass or surpass, but a lot of it depending on what you like. Welding is a very honorable career, a lot, as is most all your technical things. Out here, we've got a lot. I mean, they're hiring welders every single day.
But that's the same in San Antonio, Austin, talking to the Austin Manufacturing Association. They can't get enough specialized welders to come in and do it. And so I appreciate that you mentioned the ISD, because those P-Tech programs, or those dual course, dual credit programs, are so valuable to the family, one, because I know in my local ISD, you can graduate with 60 college credit hours.
Yeah.
You can come out as a sophomore, essentially, going into a university system, or just really well prepared to be a vocational tradesman that will go on to own a business, to be the electrician, the solopreneur. They can build a business and have a team of electricians underneath them. But
they may learn a couple of years under somebody, and then all of a sudden one thing out here I appreciate, it's very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And you may have a kid, it really does.
Yeah.
You may have a kid working 3 years under somebody, and it's like, you know what, I think I can do this.
Yep.
And then they open up their own shop, and like you said, they start employing people, and then they grow from there. And so there's a lot of that. I am told that there are some kids here who, when they graduate high school, they already have, or just at the cusp of an associate's degree already. And and not only that, as a parent, that saves, if you're paying for your child's education, that's a huge money saver.
60 college credit hours is a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
And even any university, any community college, 60 CE credits.
Yep.
It's a lot of money. So I applaud the ISDs that are doing that. It's happening across the state. If you're a parent and not aware of P-Tech or vocational programming at this point, get curious. My problem is we're talking about it with 8th graders, and they don't know yet.
Yeah.
And so I really want to connect to employers and parents and influencers, mentors,
almost like, let them taste it and see what it is they like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want them to go off in a direction and then all of a sudden they're knee deep and they realize it's the wrong direction. In Ector County ISD, we passed a bond issue last year. I think it was May of 24.
Okay.
Approximately, I can't remember, $435 million, something like that. Well, 37 million of it, I believe, is the number, is going to go to or actually it's going to be higher than that. I think the land was 37 million, and that was donated by the Odessa Industrial Development Corporation. But they're building a new state-of-the-art CTE.
That's beautiful.
I was fortunate enough to sit on the committee. I had to miss a lot of meetings with work, but the committee that looked at other examples of this, and it's incredible what people are doing. Not only around here, they looked at a couple of locations in New Mexico. I think Hobbs has a new one. And what they're doing with CTE schools now, and what they offer, whether it's construction management or welding or culinary arts, is huge.
It sounds more like the trade schools of the past, and we didn't talk about the trades. And like when I was finishing high school and into the early 2000s, like it kind of fell out of vogue.
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to college, and that's just not a reality.
Well, I remember we had a former president make that statement. Well, everybody should go to college. Well, college isn't for everybody.
No.
Sometimes they don't want it. Sometimes they're like, my daughter, my youngest, is a classic example. She was a late bloomer because she didn't really know what she wanted to do. Well, once she figured out she wanted to be a nurse, and she's getting a very quality nursing education out here in West Texas, she's killing it.
Yeah.
She just needed to figure out, and we're all that way. I was kind of a slow starter myself, and once you figure out, oh, this is what I like, this is what I want to do, it all becomes easier.
Well, that's where I appreciate University of Texas Permian Basin doing events like today, working with Y Texas, and then people like yourself and other leaders in the community that go out and say, there's a lot happening here. It's not just what your dad did or your mom did. Look around as a high school student and see that the world is big, especially if you're out here. Access is easy.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
If you're not from here, we've been fortunate. I remember in my early days of economic development, and I was in another part of the state, and if we competed for a project against Midland-Odessa, it'd be like, well, they don't have any workforce. Well, now that's kind of a national problem.
Yep.
A lot of people around the country went home during COVID and never came back. I don't know how they did that, but that's
good for them.
You don't have enough time to get into that stuff.
Yeah.
But we have been able to fill jobs for new employers out here, but we have more to fill, and there's a great wage out here in West Texas.
So if you're looking to get away from the traffic of an Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, and you have a skill that works in manufacturing, oil and gas, retail, any industry really.
Automation, instrumentation, you name it. And obviously retail, you mentioned that, it is growing. We don't work as much in that. We're a 4A type sales organization. We recruit manufacturing jobs, capital investment, but we realize it's important because a lot of people view it as quality of place.
Quality of life, yeah.
One of the communities I moved to early on, when they reached out to contact me, naturally I go home and I tell my wife, hey, so-and-so community, and she's like, of course, her first question was in a different state, and they're like, wait, what? But then she said her next question was, do they have a target?
Yeah.
Well, at the time we had 2 young girls, and that was part of my wife's quality of place was I needed a target, for the Huggies and whatever else, because we have these 2 girls. And so, quality of place is different for, most people. So you want to try to affect it as much as you can in any community.
Yeah, it's a great reminder. I've seen site selectors talk about Little League baseball teams and what does that look like. There's a number of things that people individually look at when they look at a community. But I want to encourage them to look at Odessa and say, is this a place I could go build my career? Is it a place I could go grow my family? And talking about quality of place, there's so much from West Texas. From Odessa, you can be in New Mexico, you can be down in Big Bend really quickly, you can be up into Lubbock. It's not terribly far once you're used to Texas.
Coming out of DFW, we've now been able to go down and experience Big Bend. We've stayed, my wife and I have stayed in Alpine. Go to Monaghan, see the dunes,
sand dunes.
We've gone to Ruidoso now. She loves Ruidoso.
It's great snow skiing if you're Texan and don't want to get on a plane.
Yeah, it's an easy drive. It's beautiful. I like golf. They've got great golf. If you want to go up to Lubbock, Lubbock's got a lot. Lubbock's a booming town.
It's amazing what's happening up there.
Yeah, and so we unfortunately got canceled, but we had tickets a while back to go up to Lubbock and see Brooks and Dunn.
That's awesome.
And so so you can go see big shows, and right here on the UTPB campus they have the Wagner Noel.
Yep.
and they get Broadway performances through here. Jimmy Buffett was here several years ago.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld came through. This was his only Texas stop, was in that facility over there, the Wagner Noel.
That's wild.
And so, so yeah, there's there's things to do. We're not just sitting around with no opportunities. I look at it as you get what you make of it.
Yeah.
And the lady that hired me in my current position when I came to town the first time, matter of fact, you can talk to her in a few minutes, Renee Earls.
Yeah.
We were driving from the airport, and she picked me up at the airport, and she said, when people come out here, they come kicking and screaming. And she said, if that company transfers them out 5 years later, they leave here kicking and screaming. And I've been here now long enough to understand it.
Yeah.
I fully get it. And I think a lot of the difference is it's the people. I think I mentioned to you earlier, from a work standpoint, you've got a very gritty population. They do what it takes to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
They roll up their sleeves or get their hands dirty. It's not like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that job. But yet, at the end of the day, socially, everybody's very welcoming. It's friendly. It's been a very enjoyable experience for us.
Well, I have enjoyed getting to know Odessa a little bit, and coming out here and seeing what y'all are doing, hearing the excitement around innovation and opportunities to make work more visible out here is incredible. And I really look forward to Odessa joining us for the Why Texas Summit in September as we highlight the quality of life, quality of place that you have built out here, and what an opportunity it is for any Texan or American to look around and say, well, maybe my company needs to be there because they have water, traffic, people, workforce, land. You've got all those things, the recipes for success. Closing thoughts on Odessa and Midland, because I got to ask. We're kind of stuck in the middle here, but how does that collaboration really work?
Well, I can see it because I grew up in DFW.
Yeah.
I was born in Irving, so I was right in between.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. I'm a long-suffering Cowboy fan, but they're kind of like Dallas-Fort Worth.
Okay.
They have their differences. Probably the biggest is Friday nights in the fall.
Yeah.
But that's a Texas thing. But they do for the right things, they come together. A good example of that is right out here behind us. You see a construction site. There's a 200-bed behavioral health hospital under construction right now. That was a partnership between the two hospital districts, Midland and Odessa. And so, there are some differences, but when you have to come together for the good of the community, both communities come together. And both communities have great people at the end of the day. And we know we need each other. I recruited a project one time. It was a 500 employee project. We were actually successful on it. And I was talking to one of the principals with the company, and in the city I was in was 75,000 people. And he said, Tom, when we looked at this area, the 75,000 people in your city didn't do anything for us. I said, really? He said, no. We have to interview 15 people to get one person. Yeah. We're talking about a 500 job facility. He said, what made the difference for us is the 300,000 people in the metro area.
Yeah.
And so, when we may look at each other sometimes and have our differences, especially, like I said, on Friday nights in the fall. But at the end of the day, when a company from, Europe or Canada or Michigan are looking at this area and they're going to employ 50, 100, 500 people, it's not, they don't see the boundaries.
No.
They just see workforce.
Right.
And typically they will put a radius around that, and they'll say, okay, for what we're going to pay, we can draw from X number.
Yep.
And if you put a dot right in the middle here where we're sitting, and you go 30-mile radius, which is a common radius some businesses use, that's going to take in all of Odessa. It's going to take in all of Midland.
Yep.
So,
Well, a little competition never hurts. It
No.
builds you better.
Not at all.
And I appreciate the perspective. Thank you, Tom, for the way that you're building Texas and spending time with us today.
thank you. I appreciate y'all coming to Midland and Odessa.